Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Holy shit, it is the 17th of January, 2018. We appreciate you joining us on YouTube, Facebook, shrmedia.com. Oh, Jesus, BZ.
We are the night.
We are the night right here on the Sackheads Radio Show. We're hoping Sackhead Clint will join us as the night goes on. Of course, we apologize for last week. Just unfortunately, the perils of real life took over, and, I decided to give everyone the night off.
And it was a crappy week.
It was a crappy week, and it was an executive decision made by me to give everyone the night off. So, as the Supreme Chancellor, Lord and Master of the SHR Media Network, I said the hell with it. You kids have the night off. Do something crazy. Go
Untergruppenführer.
The Overgruppenführer.
And Generalissimo.
Generalissimo. And there's got to be another one out there, too. Have you seen... you just brought this up. You must be watching, I know you've read probably The Man in the High Castle.
Yes, the Philip K. Dick novel. But,
yes.
The series, I think, is on Hulu, right?
No, it's on Amazon.
Or Amazon?
Amazon produced it.
And I know that I wanted to see it, but I don't have Amazon.
Amazing.
Everybody says it's very good.
I enjoyed the hell out of it. I watched the first season in about 8 hours.
Binging.
Yes, it was a total binge. I'd read the book, so the adaptation was great. The people, the Overgruppenführer, the guy who plays him, I don't know his name off the top of my head. You hate this man. He does such a great job.
Maybe you better tell everybody the premise about the book, though.
And
I'll tell you something about the author.
The long and short of the premise of the book is we lost World War II. The Americans did. The Allies did. America itself is split in half. The eastern portion of the country, the Nazis run. The western portion, west of the Rockies, is run by the Japanese. The Rockies is a no man's land where there's no set law, really. Nobody really controls it. And there's a whole bunch of outlaws. There's some bounty hunting going on. On the East Coast, there's a whole bunch of American sympathizers who've joined the Nazis, and they're now in their ranks. And obviously, they're doing what Nazis do, or what they propose Nazis would do if they came to this country. And the SS is still heavily involved. They won World War II. Hitler's still alive at the beginning of the series. He is dying. That's a discussion. Then, of course, they all wrap together. The two stories eventually start wrapping together, but at the very beginning, it's like watching two shows because you're watching what's going on in Japan or in California, San Francisco specifically, as Japan runs it and how that story plays out. And then you're watching the East Coast with the Nazis running everything, and then you 3 shows because then they start talking about the no man's land in the middle of the country. It is so well done. The book was amazing. I thought they've done a tremendous job in the show. It's doing it justice. It is very, very scary reality, or potential reality. But I'll tell you right now, the people who are the actors and the guy who plays Overgruppenführer is...
See, I don't know any of the actors, so I don't know.
I don't know his name. I could look it up, but I'm not going to right now. But I'll tell you right now, you hate this man. So the inspector for the kind of like the Japanese intelligence service, he's a dick. And just like in the book, as you remember, you just don't like the man, right? He's a scumbag. He's a scumbag. But it's different. Like, yeah, you know, and you just don't like him because you know who he is, you know, what they do to people. You know, in one scene they gas a family. There's a whole bunch of things. But the guy who plays the Overgruppenführer, from the minute you see him, you want to punch him in the fucking face. And he does such a great job of making you hate him. It's brilliant. It is so well acted. And there's the other guy there, the bounty hunter, who's running around in the no man's land, and he's just a monster, and he's a Nazi as well. But if you have a chance, if you go home with the flu or whatever, watch The Man in the High Castle. Amazon did it. And listen, it's Amazon. We can talk about their business practices, Democrats, liberals, whatever, blah, 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 blah. This show was done, I thought, amazingly.
Well, the other one that's on Amazon that I want to see, but haven't, is the one called Bosch.
Yeah, I haven't watched that.
And that's from a series of books by Michael Connelly. And I love the Michael Connelly books. Mm-hmm. He writes Hieronymus Bosch, a detective. Great series of novels, great character. He's an LAPD detective. He comes from the he comes from the Vietnam era, so now he's in his late 60s. And he's a tunneler. He's a tunnel rat from the tunnels of Cu Chi in Vietnam, and that's his background. And then he comes back, he joins the LAPD, etc. Great series of books. Want to see that series. Philip K. Dick, who wrote the book, The Man in the High Castle, and wrote a number of stories that have been translated into, for example, Blade Runner, AI. Gosh, there's the other one with Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Where he predicts the future.
Yep.
And then they come...
Minority Report.
Minority Report, he wrote that. A lot of adaptations from Philip K. Dick. Interesting cat, really strange, and way, way fucked up.
Yeah.
This guy literally had serious mental problems all through his life. And sometimes he'd be on his meds, and sometimes he would not quite so much. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to have to look up and see. I think he ended up taking his own life. He died relatively...
I did not know that.
Let's see.
I did not know that.
Here we go. Died March 2nd, 1982 in Santa Ana, California.
No kidding.
The movies that were translated were Blade Runner, The Adjust.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Adjustment Bureau, Total Recall, Minority Report. There was a lot of stuff that was translated into film.
Yeah.
Total Recall, Screamers, Through a Scanner, Darkly, Imposter, Radio Free Albemuth, Next, Paycheck. Wow, this guy was not only did he have a unique mind, but he was prodigious. He wrote a lot of stuff.
Well, you know, it's funny. Dave Milner in the chat room just said, well, you try growing up with the last name Dick and see how normal you could possibly grow up.
Okay.
I have to agree with that statement. It does not
Good
seem like
point.
it would be a very normal existence. But yeah, It is definitely a great series, The Man in the High Castle.
Okay, here we go. I was wrong. After completing an interview in 1982, Philip K. Dick contacted his therapist complaining of failing eyesight, was advised to go to a hospital immediately but didn't. The next day he was found unconscious on the floor of his Santa Ana home, having suffered a stroke.
Wow.
In the hospital, he suffered another stroke in which all brain activity ceased.
Oy vey.
5 days later, he was disconnected from life support and died.
Scared. Scary. Absolutely scary stuff. But a great writer and a great, like I said, a great book series. We have a chance. Check it out.
Well, it's funny. Well, maybe I should ask. You're running the show. Are we going to go to jackassery, or are we just going to delve into stuff?
Well, I mean, we kind of already did jackassery, right?
Did we? Okay.
Hey, I want to tell everyone, if you're listening and you want to watch, you can get us on YouTube at the SHR Media YouTube channel. Make sure you like us and follow. Same thing on Facebook, the SHR Facebook page. We're streaming live, and of course at shrmedia.com you can listen and jump into our live chat. At shrmedia.com, click broadcast live chat, and if you make something funny, it maybe get read on here, on air.
I think I spilled the beans, though.
Yeah. Well,
I told them
did you say cut the cheese?
No. Que coupe la fromage. Who cut the cheese? Anyway, I think I'm sorry I spilled it. I told folks that you were a little late, but it turns out that you were not late.
I was not.
And that you drove up in your armored Rolls-Royce Phantom 5.
Yes, I did. Totally up
limousine. So he's got a new one, and it's a great-looking automobile. And I was hoping, I don't know, I don't think that really would have bothered you, though.
No, why would it?
That's what it's conspicuous consumption,
Listen,
which is something that we're good at around here.
I mean,
we have to be good at something.
BZ, let's be honest. I am not a humble person. All right, I'm a bragger. I'm a little bit of a bragger.
No, you're very humble, very, very humble.
A little bit of a bragger, and I should be a bragger. I'm pretty friggin' fantastic.
Hello in chat to Mike. Hello in chat to Mary Brockman. I hope she got her tweet to see her chair, an actual photograph of her chair, and Dave Milner. So welcome. To all.
Welcome one, welcome all at the SHR Media chat room. Well, let's get right into it.
The reason I was asking, and
I can see you chomping at the little bit over there.
Let's see, because you were talking about how after World War II,
yes,
the Nazis took essentially the East Coast, the Japanese took essentially the West Coast.
Just for historic clarity, we're talking about the Man in the High Castle, not real life. But go on.
Right.
All right, I just want to make sure.
And on the heels of that, we have a new story out from all across the fruited plain. New California movement seeks to divide the Golden State in half.
Sign me up, bitches.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we were texting about this earlier today. Two men have launched a campaign to divide rural California from the coastal cities, motivated by what they referred to as a tyrannical form of government. Duh.
No shit.
That doesn't follow the U.S. Constitution or the state one, the San Francisco Chronicle reported. Unlike the failed 2016 campaign to split California into 6 states, the New California movement, founded by Robert Paul Preston and Tom Reed, seeks to consolidate rural California into a distinct economy separate from the coast.
I'm totally okay with 2. And here's why. And I talked about this when we have absolutely talked about the split into the 6, talk about the state of Jefferson. We've talked about some other ideas. The reality is, anyone who doesn't know California, we all don't live at the beach. We all don't surf.
And there isn't an earthquake every day.
Right. The vast majority of California is extremely rural. Now, the voting populace and the controlling power is L.A., Santa Barbara, San Francisco, and Sacramento.
So what is this a perfect example of? This is a perfect example of what leftists want. You have it's like, that's why they want to eliminate the Electoral College.
Absolutely.
Because just as these guys point out here, it's a small minority of areas that are ruling the entire state of California, and the rest of the state of California is in the bag for fuck you.
Right. And all they do is just, and listen, you look at the economy, people don't realize this as well. California is a major farming state. It's a major agriculture state. And the New California, as they're going to call it, would survive off their agriculture. And you look at other. I always think of my friend Inyo County Clerk Kimmy Foote in Inyo County, who is essentially supplying all the water for Los Angeles on a contract that was signed, I want to say back in like 1922, and can't be undone. And all that water from Inyo County is what keeps Los Angeles drinking water.
Here's another clue, another bit of an insight. All the water in Northern California goes where?
South.
Yes.
Yes. And all of the resources in this state are legitimately away from the coast. Yeah, you have some things on the coast. You know, you have your fishing industry, et cetera, et cetera.
Dope
et cetera.
grows.
Dope grows up in the northern part on the coast. But overall, the vast majority of the natural resources in the state are away from the coast. And it's also, those happen to be the same areas that are affected by the decisions of these rich liberals who live where? On the coast, except for Sacramento.
There's another quote from the article. After years of overtaxation, regulation, and monoparty politics, the state of California and many of its 58 counties have become ungovernable, the movement declares on its website. And again, absolutely correct. Facts in evidence.
Yes.
What California is now is what the Demorats want for the rest of the nation and the world, and that is this. There is a supermajority of Demorats in the state capital about 2 miles that way.
Yep.
And we are abominably close to the locus of evil for the entire West Coast and perhaps even the planet, with some minor exceptions. If you go to, Massachusetts and become a masshole or something like that. In any event, no, you're not.
I am a masshole. I'm just a conservative one.
You're a transplant.
I am. But where did I go?
Right. You went from the pan into the burning fucking fire. That's where you went.
There was 47 other states I could have went to be around more conservatives.
Yeah, but no.
And
where did you choose?
I chose number 50. I chose the one with the highest poverty level. Holy shit. Plans. It's all about planning.
There's something wrong when you have a rural
Fucking
county
nailed it.
such as this one, and you go down to Orange County, which is mostly urban, and it has the same set of problems, and it happens because of how the state is being governed and taxed.
Right. Well, and here's the thing is the vast majority of the counties outside of the big areas are hardworking, tax-paying counties. The higher poverty, which most people think would be outside, is in the major cities, which are the liberal havens.
And does that not lead to the next article that we have here?
Yes, it shall.
Maybe you can pick up the headline in that one, because this is the thing. I'm absolutely shocked that this came from the LA Times. But it's because it's an op-ed. That's why.
Right. This is from the Slimes. Op-ed, Why is Liberal California a Poverty Capital of America? This is written by Kerry Jackson. And it starts off, guess which state has the highest poverty? Well, you gave it away in the title, so that was some lousy clickbait work. But whatever. Not Mississippi, not New Mexico, not West Virginia, but it's California, where 1 out of 5 residents is poor. According to the Census Bureau's supplemental poverty measure, which factors in the cost of housing, food, utility, and clothing, which includes non-cash government assistance as a form of income. Given the robust job growth and prosperity generated by several industries, it's worth asking why California has fallen behind, especially when the state's per capita GDP increased approximately twice as much as the U.S. average over the last 5 years, ending in 2016. It's not, though, California. I'm going to cut to the quick. Here's the little thing. Entitlements. Bullshit contracts that companies get paid out if you're in bed with the California legislature. Tremendous waste on so many levels of state government. Let's see. Misuse and appropriations of funds. I could go on and on and on. It is the absolute liberal bastion, ladies and gentlemen.
But do you want to hear more hypocrisy? Do you
Yes.
want to hear more buttery goodness
Well, just give
of
me
how
1 sec.
leftists are fucking themselves?
Let me just give you 1 second. Folks, California is as close to the socialist dream as you're going to get so far.
Exactly.
It can't get any closer to liberal socialism than being outright liberal socialist, which it will be in a few years.
And so, obviously, this points to the fact that it's working, right? It's working so well.
Magically.
Do you know who it's working well for?
Venezuela. Wait, my bad. We're back in California.
It's working well for the wealthy.
Yes.
The wealthy. Now, this is interesting. There was a documentary done by the daughter of Nancy Pelosi.
Believe me, I drive a Rolls, I know.
Yes, that's right. Her name is Alexandra Pelosi. She did a documentary called San Francisco 2.0 back in 2015. Here's how volatile the times are. In 2015, Alexandra Pelosi was attempting to make the argument in this documentary that all the poor people are getting pushed out of Sacramento because they're gentrifying all of these various neighborhoods. And then she showed bit after bit after bit
San Francisco.
In San Francisco, how people cannot afford to live in San Francisco anymore. And that's absolutely correct. The other thing that pissed off all the San Franciscans that were living there is Google would send their buses in to pick Silicon Valley fucktards up and bus them down to Silicon Valley near San Jose, giving them free bus rides, etc. They were living in San Francisco, living the dream, high atop skyscraper buildings, wonderful townhouses, great balconies, views of the Pacific. In the meantime, the poor were getting poorer. Well, what do you know now about San Francisco? I haven't been... Well, no, I take it back. I went back in October of this year to go to go see Fleet Week on my yacht.
Your yacht.
You have a Rolls Royce. I have a yacht.
Right.
In any event, after that, that's the only time I go to San Francisco now. It's rife, literally, it is rife with shit and piss.
Yes. So
Now
much so that
published.
there's a map.
I was just get out of my damn head. Great minds think alike.
Dave hit it at the same time in chat.
Now recently, there was a map published of shitholes. Isn't that funny how that word is bandied about today? But wait, there's more. Because of California's AB or SB or AB 10, excuse me, AB 47.
Okay.
No, Prop 47 and Prop 57. Property crimes almost mean nothing. So burglaries, car vehicle burglaries, and home burglaries and theft are skyrocketing all across San Francisco. There are literally men and women shitting and pissing in the streets in San Francisco. Now, guess what? The people from the Silicon Valley area who now are finding that you've got homeless guys and gals on the stoops right outside the doors of these massive buildings in which they live.
Yep. They're dropping Democrats left and right on the front steps.
They're now starting to move out of San Francisco because they don't like the living conditions.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. First and foremost,
didn't see that one coming.
You got to ask yourself, if you live in a major city, especially if you're in city government, and somebody comes out with a map that shows you where to avoid poop.
Yeah, where to avoid stepping in shit.
And this is not for people that live there. This is designed for tourists.
And now...
Hey, come to San Francisco. We have our own shit map.
They have public shitters in the parks. And now, do you think that San Francisco would build a public shitter for the homeless in a nice building? No, it's poured concrete and people are shitting in public.
Mm-hmm. Like it's nothing.
And the reason that they didn't build an enclosure or a shelter is because of rapes and drug deals that would be shielded from the ability to see what was going on.
Yeah. No,
there's your socialist paradise.
So they're essentially putting them into a pasture like an animal to go take a shit. That's essentially what they're doing. They're putting them in a pasture. So, and when you go, and there was an article I talked about a couple weeks ago where, they were talking about the city of San Francisco and how companies are turning to automated robots to help security because by the ASPCA, they were having a problem with car burglaries, drug needles, defecation, and people camping in front. And those people who were illegally camping on the street, doing drugs, taking a dump, breaking into cars, were complaining about the robot security guard that was driving around because it scared them. It didn't look like RoboCop. It wasn't Ed 209. It was like not even like R2-D2 is more offensive to look at than this thing was. But this is the mindset of the people in San Francisco. This is the mindset of the liberals in this country. Hey, keep giving it away as much as we can. Don't force people to take care of themselves. Just keep giving this shit away left and right. Boom, boom, boom. Until they're literally shitting in the streets.
Well, here's a great quote from the article. It's a pull quote. California Demorats have long been free to indulge blue state ideology while paying little or no political price.
Right.
The generous spending, then, has not only failed to decrease poverty, it's actually made it worse. By the 1980s, early 1990s, some states, principally Wisconsin, Michigan, Virginia, initiated welfare reform, as did the federal government under President Clinton in 1994, by the way, who could not do that today. And it was pointed out by leftists, of course, look what that evil Bill Clinton did with welfare reform.
Right.
Tied together by a common thread of strong work requirements, those overhauls were a big success. Welfare rolls plummeted, and millions of former aid recipients entered the labor force. Let me ask you about a common sign, because common sense frequently is just that. Why do you think in some zoos there's a sign in front of the cage that says, "Please don't feed the bears"?
Because the bears get comfortable with people being fed and don't want to fend for themselves?
Yeah, imagine that. Now, we're so much better than animals, if you ask leftists, except for PETA. PETA thinks animals are better than people. But this proves once again that some things are universal, including that. When you take away a reason for existence, when there's no motivation for life, no inner force, no motivator, no developmental inclination whatsoever, you get people that give up. Hence, they turn to, for example, homelessness, opioids, New Hampshire? Holy crap.
Opioids are incredible.
And this is your leftist, idealist utopia, 2 miles that way, all those fucktards.
But guess what, folks? They are falling. Look at.
And it's coming for you.
If California was its own state, it would make Venezuela look like a bastion of happiness right now. True story. If California was its own state and didn't have to abide by the federal government's rules, at least in Constitution,
they'd be happy to.
It would absolutely be worse than Venezuela right now. You worried about people taking a dump in the streets? This is 10 times worse than that, and it would be worse than that. Did you see the video out of Venezuela where somebody said, "Oh my God, it's like The Walking Dead," where a group of people found a cow walking around in a field and they had no way to slaughter it, so they were just chasing around with rocks and sticks, just beating it to death because they were so hungry and hadn't eaten?
Yeah, and then taking bites out of it.
Right.
Like The Walking Dead.
Right.
I'd also like to say hello to Simone. She's in chat room. Carrie Baxter Donovan is in the chat room. Mm-hmm. And one viewer who is masked, and our policy is we do not unmask them.
We never unmask the viewer.
So welcome to you folks.
But yeah, and it's only going to get worse. Look, it's going to be shit maps now. And that really tells you
everything you need to know about San Francisco, the leftist workers' paradise. Hey, it's paradise if you work for Google.
Right.
Or Twitter.
Right.
Or a social company. Or some kind of a massive tech conglomerate.
But you also look at
Woo-hoo.
And if you're in California, you're interested about how bad California really is. Because I know, I grew up elsewhere, so I know the image that is put upon California. Now that I live here, I want to talk about the reality. Katie Grimes, who writes for Flash Report and a bunch of other amazing places. Katie's based out of Sacramento. She's a reporter. She's a hell of a reporter. And we're friends on Facebook. We've talked a few times. She's doing a whole series about the homelessness problems. And not only the problem for the homelessness people, but the problem for everybody who has to live around it. She had this whole series of videos out of L.A. where it is an absolute ghetto. Absolute ghetto in LA.
Oh, there was a video I saw yesterday. There's a bicyclist with a GoPro on his helmet, and he's bicycling down. And you can clearly see it's a bike path. It's paved, and it's in Orange County. And there's a fence. Behind that fence are a series of huge stuccoed Southern California homes, which you can clearly see. They cost a lot of buckage. Now, a home like that with, I don't know, say 3,000 square feet in a place like Orange County might be $300,000 in, I don't know, Tennessee or something like that.
Right.
In Orange County, in California, that's about a $1 or $2 million home right there. Just this side of the fence. I watched the entire video. It goes on for almost 10 minutes of nothing but lined up homeless encampments backed up against this fence for literally and the video says this goes on this way for 10 miles.
Yes.
In Orange County.
Yes.
Now here in Sacramento.
We're up against the break.
Sackhead Sean, one question. Name me, I don't know, 5 fairly major intersections that don't have one homeless dude or
Can't even
doodad
tell you.
on the corner of that intersection, and they fight over the money that they get
even worse,
from each place.
Drive down underneath any freeway, downtown, anywhere that runs along the Highway 50 through Sacramento or Business 80 or I-5 North, with the exception of Old Sac, because they do a pretty good job down there because they have to.
Yeah, tourists.
Drive to the south area of Sacramento. Drive down Stockton Boulevard.
Oh.
And literally
Ghetto Central.
Tent cities like crazy. And I see them every day. It is absolutely astounding. The poverty level in the state's out of control, and it's because liberal Democrats have created as such.
And it's working so well.
Well, yeah, it's socialism. I can do it better. That's what every socialist thinks. Folks, we're up against a break. When we come back, speaking of shithole countries, all that and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network. Stick around.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the unpleasant blind guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Weaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk. The Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it again.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be B-roll.
Like, what are you talking about? Just the last question we cut a couple seconds. Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. What's wrong?
I just remembered.
What?
Where's my Diet Pepsi?
I don't know.
Holy Mother of God.
Oh, and then that happened. You see how quickly it can go out of control here, folks? Here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you for everyone listening live and, of course, watching on Facebook and YouTube and live chat, shrmedia.com. Click broadcast. The live chat's right there, tucked in the bottom. You can join such great people. I think the boss is in there. If the boss is in live chat, then it's off the hook. That's all I have to say. So before we went to break, I teased about the whole potential...
Who is the boss?
It's none of your business.
All right. Close Bombay doors. I have my Diet Pepsi.
So if I have... if I had to take a guess, I know who the boss is. It might be Jane. Jane Butcher, ladies and gentlemen. But... before we went to break, who I love dearly and is just an amazing human being and woman, and really she is pretty friggin' awesome. And have a drink with the woman, and you can understand why she could take down like a pretty much a full-grown charging lion all by herself without even flinching. She's kind of a badass. But I did tease the shithole comment prior to going to the break, and... yeah, so it came out that a White House meeting that allegedly the president called some countries shithole countries. Now, before we get into all the different reasons why this isn't a big deal or whatever, let's discuss some shithole countries for a few minutes. First and foremost, everyone pointed right to Haiti, which, by the way, giving all the money...
well, let's ask a fundamental question. Who helped to make them a shithole country?
Right. And
I know.
Well, so let's talk about Haiti. So before the earthquake, and growing up on the East Coast, I have friends who are Haitian from Haiti, grew up there, and they'll tell you it's a shithole country. They will tell you straight to your face. There's a reason they came here. And then you had the earthquake. After the earthquake, it was decimated. And had this earthquake. By the way, shithole country doesn't mean shithole people. It could be run shitty. It could be run horribly. It could have no infrastructure. There's a lot of different reasons. After the earthquake, there was a bunch of money that got poured in that got misused. See Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, imagine that.
But here is my disclaimer for whether or not a country is a shithole or not a shithole. Oh, yes. This is a great point I wanted to make, and Dave in the chat room just reminded me.
Papa Doc Duvalier.
You look at the Dominican Republic, which is only separated by a river.
Yes.
Beautiful place. It's got its problems, but I have friends from the DR, and it is an absolute gorgeous place. I have friends who own houses that are originally from the DR that are American citizens because it's that beautiful. It's safe. Tourism is incredible. It's gorgeous. And a friend of mine from the DR, Dominican Republic, told me, do you know on the river that separates Haiti and the Dominican Republic that the Dominican military stands post, and if Haitians try to cross the river, they shoot them? That's it. That's how bad it got in Haiti.
That's rather succinct, I'd say.
That is how bad it got in Haiti. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what happens. But here is the number one indicator if your country is a shithole. In case you're doing the whole "is my country a shithole" test. If you have UN peacekeepers currently actively working in peacekeepers, the blue helmet guys, if they're in your country working to keep people, quote unquote, safe right now, you live in a shithole country.
Could I add something?
Yes.
By the way, there were reports that came out that when the lovely little blue-helmeted folkies were in Haiti helping, air quotes, helping, they were also setting up prostitution rings. Mm-hmm. They were also setting up their own money laundering systems, and they were selling and enslaving women in Haiti.
That's impossible.
Those UN peacekeepers, now they know how to run a country.
But this is how I know you're lying, because if you check modern history or history in general, nobody has kept slaves with the exception of Americans.
White people.
Right. White Americans in the 1800s only.
Guilty.
Nobody else had ever kept slaves. So I know you're lying.
That thought never crossed anyone's mind.
I also want to point out to all these liberals especially, and I'm looking at Hollywood with this comment, all these people who jumped on the shithole comment, which, by the way, has yet to be confirmed. I know we love to throw this out. I know CNN said shithole on their network for 2 days straight. I get this. But all of those people, when Trump was becoming president and they said they were going to move, oh, we're moving out of the country. We're moving to Canada. We're moving to Spain. We're moving to Italy. We're moving to England. We're moving here to France. We're moving to South Africa. How come none of them were going to Mogadishu?
Well, how come none of them were going to Mexico? They love Mexico. Go to Mexico.
Darfur, Burma, all of these other countries that are
Somalia needs a hand.
They
have a little winky little navy. They need help with some assistance with their navy. I mean, hijacking ships is tough stuff.
It's not easy.
No, not anybody can do it.
So I just want to put that to bed. Listen, there's a reason these countries are not the tourist capitals of the world. There's a reason these countries are, well, shitholes. And look, hey, there are parts of this country that are shitholes too.
I live in one.
You go to parts of D.C., you go to parts of Baltimore, you go to parts of Chicago, San Francisco, Oakland, Los Angeles, shitholes. New York has some shitholes. Boston has some shitholes. Detroit, shitholes. That doesn't mean that everyone out of there is bad people, but they have shitholes.
Before the show is ended, we have to beat CNN for saying shitholes. The record was 36. Now they've said it over 100 times. So between now and the end of the show,
right,
at 10 o'clock our time, which is, oh my God, that's 1 a.m. Eastern, and it's 179 and 123.725 seconds in Bolivia.
Shithole.
We will have maybe we will have broken the record. I mean, I think 36 is easily reachable at this point.
But the reality is, we have some shithole cities.
More
San Francisco.
More now
than ever before. Right? But these are absolutely some shithole countries. And that doesn't mean people are bad from there. And it doesn't mean people are good from there. But the countries themselves are run like shitholes.
Let me tell you a tale of two Californias, because I've been here for a damn long time. I'm in my 7th decade. So having said that, I have a bit of a perspective. Did you know that at one time, in the 60s and up to a little bit in the 70s, California was so wealthy that state universities were free.
Yeah. Where'd all that money go? Shocking. Oh, it became a shithole.
And yet we collect more taxes now than we ever have before. And the debt is larger than it ever has before.
So now let's talk about the conversation that the shithole comment came out of. And maybe it did. And look, if it did, I really don't give a shit. I'm past...
I don't even... absolutely.
I'm past the point of letting political correctness rule the day. I am past the... I know, it's not very presidential. What does it say to our neighbors about... Look, when this guy ran, he was saying things like shithole. It's not that different.
Wait.
And that's okay.
What am I... What am I doing?
Grasping at straws.
No, I'm grabbing. What am I trying to grab?
I don't know.
I'm trying to grab fucks because I'm
all out.
I'm all
fucks
out
to
of
give.
them.
And that's the reality, right? Is this guy has been blunt, and I'm talking about President Trump from the beginning. And I know some people don't like that. Oh my God, it's so hurtful. It's so
terrible.
mean.
It's
How
mean.
dare
it's
he?
evil. It's unpresidential.
You know how
blah, blah.
fucking refreshing it is? And look at after the last 8 years of the bullshit vomit that would come out of Obama's mouth, and some of Bush's mouth before him, and certainly Clinton before him, right? To have somebody come out and not be a politician and be like, yeah, this sucks. Fuck that.
The Bushes have proven they're useless hacks.
But my point is, they were all professional politicians. This guy isn't. Okay? And all these charges of racism, they just keep love to throw around at him just because, oh, he's going to be racist. He said shithole countries. Well, no, first of all, racism is against a specific race of individuals. Calling a country a shithole is one of two things. Either you're calling it like you see it, or you're an asshole. Like if somebody turned around and said, hey, you know what? Denmark's a shithole. Well, okay. But the point is this guy's noted for being blunt and forward. And yes, if he did say it, and I don't even know if he did yet.
Oh, that's another story.
But that's what I want to get into right now. But the reality is, if he did say it, he's not lying. And I know that's hard for a country to process, a president that isn't lying to our fucking faces.
Yeah. See my previous visual.
But the reality is he's not lying. Now, let's talk about whether or not it was said. Because there are people who are coming out now saying, maybe not so fast. Maybe that wasn't the exact quote that was made. Maybe that was exaggerated by, wait a minute, people that don't like Trump and
who would it be?
Media?
Well, and isn't there an individual that we're sort of talking about here a little bit?
Dick Durbin?
Yeah, that would be that guy.
Let's talk about Tricky Dick Durbin.
Doesn't he have a little bit of a history of that?
Yeah, and even Clinton's old people pretty much said he's untrustworthy.
Yeah, that was that Carney dude, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't mean the guy from the carnival that used to, try to grope,
but that's actually
grope
what we
your
used,
girlfriend or
that's
something
what we
like
used to
that.
call him is the Carney.
Yeah.
Jay Carney said that he was not trustworthy years ago. And there was another one, too, that came out. Was it the Washington Post or somebody came out and wrote an article? Oh, no, it was...
Real Clear Politics.
Real Clear Politics.
The headline says, Durbin has a history of lying about private meetings. So you got Jay Carney saying that, and that's immured. See, that's the sad thing about this internet, this damn internet thing.
God, it can just bite you in the ass,
Which is why
can't it?
leftists and the Demorats want to control it, because it's full of unbridled, oh my God, occasionally there's truth in here. And the other thing is it tends to archive stuff, sometimes to the detriment of people. I know, it's sad. Senator Dick Durbin accused President Donald Trump on Friday of referring to African countries as shitholes. Let's see, are we up to 30 now?
No, we're close. We're right up there.
During a meeting that they both attended on Thursday, Durbin told reporters that what Trump said was hate-filled, vile, and racist, adding that the most disheartening thing about it all was that the words came out of the Oval Office of the White House.
Oh.
There's just, however, a weensy little bitty problem with some of Dick Durbin's words. He's got a history of MSU.
Uh-huh.
And from specifically private White House meetings. In 2013, now again, this is documented. Politico magazine. Now, if you had to say, Sean, Politico magazine, would you say that it leans right?
No, I would say this is pretty hard left, actually.
Okay. In a negotiated meeting with the president, one GOP House leader in 2013 told President Barack Obama, "I cannot even stand to look at you," Durbin wrote in a post on his Facebook page over the weekend. However, the White House and the House Speaker's office denied Durbin's accounts of events. Asked about the post in the White House Daily Briefing, I looked into this and I spoke with somebody who was in that meeting, and it did not happen.
Right.
Okay. And then there are two other incidents, one occurring with John Boehner. Then we had Lindsey Graham.
Limp wrist Lindsey.
Lindsey Graham is in lockstep
with McCain,
with Durbin on this, and said, yes, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had of the tallest, highest, most peaky neck in all of politics, Tom Cotton.
Yes.
He has the longest neck in politics today, Tom Cotton. And he also said that he was reacting to the comments about Durbin. And he said, I've heard what Durbin said, and I was there at the meeting, and I have to tell you that there's a big difference between Dick Durbin and me, and that's my statement is truthful. Score one for Tom Cotton.
But look at everyone knows that this country, the left and those Republicans, quote unquote Republicans, who are afraid of guys like Trump because they're not politicians, they have Trump derangement syndrome. They will do whatever they possibly can to better their own political careers or destroy him. Look, Cory Booker, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but freaking out on the Homeland Security Secretary. 10 minutes of talking about why, and then he called the president a loser, talking about why the president's racist, and he got all upset and emotional, and it was like having a hissy fit. Well, why would Cory Booker do this? Let's see. Oh, because he wants to run against him for president in a couple years, and he has to have a sound clip. And it was so passionate and so from the heart that if you watch the video, he's looking down every 15 seconds to see the speech that he wrote and then probably practiced in front of a mirror. Cory Booker is on the short list of Democrats that they're thinking about running. They absolutely want to do everything possible to turn the president into a racist. Now, it's really funny, the amount of money that Trump poured into Haiti after the earthquakes, that's totally racist. How nobody ever accused him of racism prior to him becoming a president, even though he was a multi-billionaire. He had TV shows. He's been on every circuit. He's been on every talk show, you name it. For years, he's worked with Hollywood A-listers.
Alveda King says he's not a racist.
Yes. And you go on and on and on. But here's the other funny part is, it's funny how the quote-unquote shithole quotes were turned into racism. To the point that that schmuck from CNN got thrown out of the White House because he said, do you only want immigrants from white countries?
Yeah, Jim Acosta.
Gone.
No, the one word from Trump was...
Gone.
No. Out.
Yeah, out, gone, whatever.
That's what I tell a dog.
Out! That's exactly what is going on right now is they've turned... Okay, let's say he did call them shithole. Well, he didn't say, I don't want any shithole from black countries or Middle Eastern countries or Asian countries. He just said shithole if that's what he did in fact say. But how they bridge that to racism, they are trying to jump on board of they're trying to keep the old band together of the last administration. Right? How racism was blown out in public, how it was made into this thing that didn't exist, and how it was exacerbated to the points that cities were burned down and destroyed and people died because of this false, heightened racism. Again, that's not to say it doesn't exist, but it doesn't exist on the level they want you to believe it does. It just doesn't exist. But that's all the left knows out of their playbook. Golf Dog in the chat room. Marxism 101. Call them something until they become that something. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Now
That's
Alinsky also.
Yeah, it's Saul Alinsky. It's absolutely rules for radicals, but it goes back to Bernays. It goes back to Goebbels in World War II, attacking the Jews. It goes back to Bernays, who wrote for Woodrow Wilson. Yeah. It was his PR guy.
The father of propaganda.
Yeah.
Never say that Joseph Goebbels didn't learn.
Right, because he learned from Bernays, who worked for an American president. This is a reality, is that they're going to keep on this over and over and over. And they want him to be deemed, even though his support amongst blacks in this country has doubled.
Yes, it has.
But, it might be because the GDP is going up and more jobs are going into the quote-unquote black communities and they're having a better opportunity to
Joblessness is down in record levels in the so-called black community, in the so-called Hispanic community. And that's funny, you don't hear the American media maggots talk about that at all, do you? And the answer is no.
They haven't talked about the economy being up almost, GDP being up 4%. They haven't even touched that. But here's why.
Today, Dow, 26,000.
But here's why they won't do any of that. Is because if they lose the minority vote in this country, that's their wheelhouse. That is what the lefts have.
It's all they've got.
That's the difference
Identity
maker.
politics, emotions, that's all they have.
Right. That's
because
all they have.
You can see in the span of 1 year versus 8 years, and during the past 8 years, the denigration and grand fall, if for no other example than the state of Fornicalia.
Yes.
We're a perfect example. My former mother-in-law, before she passed away, said, and my wife, if she's listening, she'll say, you're absolutely right. She said at one point, some people exist on this planet as simply an example of what not to do. Now, apply that to the state of California. You got it.
And I've been calling California the liberal petri dish for years. They try everything here on a small level, and then it expands as it goes out through the country. But that's the biggest thing right now. You think any of these liberals are really outraged by anything Trump says? No, they don't give a shit. Because they're one percenters. All of them. All of the ones who, they're everything that they try to get all the little young leftist morons to rail against the last 10 years. They are those people.
Nancy Pelosi is the fourth most rich individual in all of D.C.
Yes.
From her husband, who's a hedge fund kind of guy.
Well, and was it Pelosi or was it, what's her face there? Frankenstein, whose husband was in Solyndra and put all that money into Solyndra.
Oh, yeah, that's Paul Pelosi. That's her husband.
Yeah.
And they happen to live in Pacific Heights.
Oh.
What do we know about Pacific Heights?
Cheap, really
it's called
cheap.
a heights because it's tall. So if you're a rich person, you want to look down on the rabble, the groundlings, the proles,
her house
the
has
serfs.
15-foot walls all the way around it.
And it's the one, you can't miss it. It's the one with the black gas guzzling SUVs all around it.
Oh, by the way, she's also one of the few people in San Francisco to actually have a CCW. Don't tell
let anyone know that.
But that is the left. This is their playbook. They're afraid of the next election. This is all politics right now, folks. It has nothing to do with real hurt emotions or anything like that.
Claws, fangs, and ripped veins from throats. They cannot afford to lose, which is why they fight so hard and so long and so stridently for illegals. That's their vote. That's their peeps.
Yeah, future Democrats. Just like the highway sign said in California a couple of weeks ago. Welcome, future Democrats. But the reality of the situation is, folks, look, we all know this, and I hate that I have to repeat this. I think Trump and racism is the biggest bullshit straw man attack I've ever seen.
I've lost friends on the internet because I still support Trump. And I say that even if he said shithole, and that's not absolutely 100% unanimously across the board verified, even if he did, I'm all out of fucks.
Right.
But you can't say that. He must be presidential. We cannot afford to go into the gutter like the other side. Get the fuck over it. Here's what's happening. Your entire country is being slit by its throat by these assholes, and I'm not going to let my country go down the tubes. So if it takes fighting, I'm ready for a fighter.
Fight. Well, and here's the thing, too. When you go back to Whitney in World War II, he said a lot of things that were brash for the time. He said a lot of things that Winston Churchill, of course, I'm talking about. He said a lot of things that were very, very plain and very, very powerful and moving and strong. And he was insulting to a lot of people and very, very strong. And I'm not saying that the two are together in the same light. They face very different challenges. But the simple fact of the matter is, what Trump is doing now could be what is saving this country. Because I think more and more people, as time goes on, are starting to wake up to the reality. The first 6-8 months, yeah, okay, they were listening to polls and they were still upset about the elections. They weren't going to give them a chance. But now, look, they're getting more money in their pockets.
When more people prosper in under an economy, more people tend to go with the person that they perceived put them there. And the Obama people would say, "Oh, well, it took Obama to get to Trump to where he is now." Oh, you know what? Bullshit level.
Yeah.
Fuck you. That's not true.
Well, and
here's another example.
Jane in the chat room, I just want to throw this out really quick.
Okay.
Of what they do to Trump, and this is a prime example. So look at his last physical, right? Came out, the doctor was like, "Hey, he's pretty good health. Yeah, he's a little bit overweight. He could drop some weight, but he's in pretty good health." What'd you see on Newsweek? Trump has heart condition, could die. He eats 2 scoops of ice cream every other day. He likes cheeseburgers. He does this. He might have a mental illness. Blah, 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 blah. Anything they can to disparage this. They go after this president worse than they go after terrorist leaders. That tells you how fucked up the media in this country is. BZ, I'll give you the last comment, and then we're going to go to break.
It's absolutely reprehensible.
Reprehensible?
Thank you. They will do anything. They cannot afford to have him succeed in any level, in any way,
and it keeps happening.
Any means, and he keeps succeeding.
He keeps doing it.
And look, I'll be the first one to say that in terms of what we've had before, President Trump is unlike any other president. Does he act unpresidential? Yeah. Does he say bad words? Yeah. Is he kind of wacky? Yeah. Does he have a dead orange cat on the top of his head? Yeah. But I've gotten to the point now where I've been pushed into a corner such as, the more you push at me about Trump, the more I'm going to support him. Now, right or wrong, and some people could say, "Oh, that is the worst thing to say because you're just being like a Demorat." Okay, in that event, maybe I am. But, you know, the big difference is, and as philosophical, I'm right and they're wrong. Because we've seen examples of both.
Yeah. And we've seen it time and again.
And we know what works.
Well, and, you know...
That's a beautiful-looking guy up there on that screen.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to play one last clip that kind of sums this up. And I just got to look it up really quick.
Okay. Oh, one of the other things that I said in chat while you're doing that, in terms of welfare, and we were talking about California earlier, my current sister-in-law... my brother and his wife live down in Coronado, which is, you know, like paradise. And they got a free house from her father and mother, which is worth literally millions of dollars, so life is so tough for them. In any event, before they moved from California and went to Nevada, and she worked for the social system in the state of Nevada. And her clients would constantly complain to her about, "Oh, Nevada doesn't pay anything." Here's what the state of Nevada would do. And she told me this. They would give you a bus ticket and say, "Go to California. You'll get a lot more money and you'll get it quicker and it's much more accessible."
Yes.
Boom. There you go.
And that's the reality of it. That is absolutely. And look, we've seen it time and again on in this area where you have homeless who are showing up out of nowhere. And you're like, "Why'd you come to this area?" And they're like, oh,
I can get more free shit.
We were put on the bus here. We were paid. Essentially, we were told, yeah, you can go to California. We'll give you a bus ticket. We'll give you a couple $100 if you leave. And they'll take way better care of you. And it's very, very true. I'm going to play this clip because when they're talking about Trump and, you don't want to become like Democrats. This is from a great movie called The Untouchables. And I hope I get it right on because it's a long clip, but I'm going to try to play it. This is why Trump has to kind of go into the gutter.
Knife to a gunfight.
You can't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Get out of here, you dago bastard.
It's a great movie.
Go on, get your ass out of here.
But he said, only a fool brings a knife to a gunfight. And that's exactly what you're doing. When you start going all hoity-toity and you want this pleasant. Oh, he's so pleasant and nice and easygoing. Well, yeah, you know what? Obama may have been very, very gentle and genteel in how he spoke most of the time, but the media that's working for him was not. And they are not now.
And they're entirely on that side.
And if you do not get as dirty as they do, they are going to win.
And they're going to walk all over your ass.
But they're going to win with those who are politically uneducated. Because those are the people who go out and they watch that 15-second headline and they think, oh, I know everything that's going on right now. I saw it on CNN, and just start vomiting this shit out. And then when it comes time to pull a handle, they pull a handle on those 15-second headlines.
Yeah, or Colbert.
Or whatever. We're up against a break. When we come back, we have a lot more to talk about.
Here's
tonight.
a visual, by the way, to the Republicans who decide that, they hate Trump. Hey, this is from me to you, Bill Kristol. Fuck you.
Yeah, and a lot of others, too. We'll be right back here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good evening. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is featured on the SHR Media Network every Tuesday and Thursday night for 2 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Whilst manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ continues to radically change the world of leftists, one diaper at a time. Stop balancing your checkbooks. Stop cleaning your fish tanks. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show is your magnet for truth, justice, obesity, a darkened studio, and late-night freedom. No United States of America freedoms were abridged in the making of this ad.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. To Facebook and Network. The best in late-night conservative talk. The Sackheads Radio Show.
If I can't cut this shit off the top of my head, are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join for The Right Way with Shannon and Wright, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the unpleasant blind guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
This is Sam on SHR Media. You can listen to my new show starting on Tuesdays in January. Get my perspective on national politics, a conservative's perspective on California politics, the latest in the war on terror, all of that and a lot more here on Tuesdays at SHR Media. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Sam_SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Weaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's the 17th of January, 2018.
We were hoping for a guest appearance tonight.
Doesn't look like it.
I don't think that we're going to have that guest. I'm becoming disabused of that possibility.
Right.
And you?
I'm the same. I lose hope every day. Every moment that we go on, I lose more hope.
I know.
It's not easy, BZ. It's not easy.
A day without hope is a day without Clint.
Or dope. What? I forget. Either way, it doesn't matter. So, this next segment, I'm going to throw over to BZ. BZ, you have a couple good stories you want to cover this
you were
half hour.
talking about. Did you play Cory Booker?
I did not play Cory Booker, but we discussed Cory Booker a little bit.
Okay. I don't know if you want to play him or not, but it involved the DHS Secretary, Nielsen. And whether you play him or not, there's another article that just came out. Actually, it's not an article. It's a report that came out from the DHS. And that's the Department of Homeland Security. And it reports, unfortunately, that 73% of convicted international terrorists are foreign-born. Obviously we're talking about the UK, right? Or France.
Right. One of the non-shithole countries.
Right. Exactly. No, we're talking about the United States of America.
What?
What? Most people convicted of international terrorism charges here in the United States are foreign-born, according to a report out Tuesday that President Trump asked to back his travel ban.
That's impossible because Cory Booker was telling us how 73% of terrorism in this country was committed by white supremacists.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and how odd that this stands in contravention of that meme.
Weird.
Yeah. The Department of Homeland Security and the Justice Department report notes that 3 out of every 4 people convicted of international terrorism-related charges in the U.S. between September 11, 2001 and December 31st, 2016 were foreign-born.
Well, and let's look at, really, because the last 8 years, we know that the Obama administration would have done everything they could to not have certain people be charged with terrorism, and it's still 73%. And it's still 73%. Holy shit. But yeah, let's just let everybody in. What could go wrong? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Oh, and you know what was a great idea, and we need to keep this really rolling, is let's have a lottery. So let's throw dice in a cup so that anyone from anywhere, for any fucking reason whatsoever, can come into this country.
Yeah,
It literally is called the immigration lottery. What a grand idea.
Well, and I love the fact that they come from countries that don't keep any personal records on people or background checks or history or anything like that. Let's just bring them in. Bring them in, kids. Oh, God. It's absolutely insane to me. Look, the idea of actually vetting people coming into this country has been around forever.
Well, with an exception. That's accomplishable. See that? I just made up a new word. That's accomplishable when you only have information. Now,
right.
Why do people object about letting folks in from, let's say, Syria, for example? Well, BZ says it's because, I wonder, how many databases does Syria have that notes the types of crimes and the predilections, sexual or otherwise, or in terms of any crime whatsoever, about people who live in Syria that the FBI or the DOJ or somebody else can just go quick like a bunny right onto that database, that's good, well-equipped up-to-date Syrian database and go, okay, bing, we know that you're a good guy and we know that you're a bad guy.
Wait, Syria, the country that has paid terrorists to kill their own people and mercenaries?
Yeah, and has gassed Kurds.
Weird.
That's kind of strange.
Okay, good.
So
good.
it's like Gigo, garbage in, garbage out, no problem about that. U.S. federal courts convicted at least 549 people with international terrorism-related charges between that September 11th, 2001 and December 31st, 2016. 73% of them, or 402, were foreign-born. And
Right.
148 of those convicted had become naturalized U.S. citizens.
What?
But wait. There's more.
There always is.
Right? How about this? This new report that just came out last month, which says a report reveals 92% of foreign nationals in federal prisons are illegal immigrants.
That's impossible.
There was a report published last month.
Dreamers, BZ. They're dreamers.
I know. They're dreaming of committing crimes. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well,
a
exploit
report
the
that was
system.
published by the Trump administration illustrates that 92% of foreign nationals in federal prisons are in the U.S. illegally, a revelation that Attorney General Jeff Sessions says proves why the U.S. needs to follow through on President Trump's proposed immigration reform. Stop. You may not realize that one of the first things that President Trump did when striking an EO was saying, and this was purposely not done by prior administrations, but he wanted to acquire statistics. So he directed by way of an EO, which was the original travel ban EO, but
Yes.
a portion of that travel ban also said you will now begin to collect statistics of who gets arrested, where they're from, etc. Now this is just federal custody.
Wait.
This isn't state custody. Federal custody is minuscule compared to the illegals that are in custody just in California, for example.
Right. Many of which are from a shithole country.
Yes, aren't they, though? Thank you. 32, 33, I'm not sure. One of those right around there. But without Trump having put that in the travel ban EO, we would not specifically know, and it was specifically they did not want to know or be able to document how many illegals were, in fact, in federal custody.
What?
Yeah, it was a 2017 report from the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security found that more than 1 in 5 individuals imprisoned were not born in the United States. In addition, 94% of foreign nationals in the custody of either the Federal Bureau of Prisons or the U.S. Marshal Service entered the U.S. illegally.
Well, that's because the system is set up for them to fail and turn to crime and corruption, BZ. That's the only way for them to be able to get scraps of food and...
I know.
And really...
I know. Scraps of food.
That's it. It's not like there's a ton of federal assistance, even for illegals or anything. They have to commit these crimes in order to put food. And all of these crimes are essentially food shoplifting.
Well, they don't mean a hill of beans. I mean, really, what's Kate Steinle in the whole big scope of things? She isn't cat piss, okay? All the officers, the other officer that was killed last month by an illegal, that wasn't cat piss, was it?
No.
Yeah, my deputy, Danny Oliver, who was killed in 2014 by a guy named Bustamante, and then following a subsequent chase, he shot and killed a Placer County Sheriff's detective named Michael Davis, whose father had been killed on the job as a deputy 30 years prior. That same day... Oh, those deputies' lives didn't mean anything.
Right.
Danny Oliver, screw him. Michael Davis, screw him. The deputy, the officer that was killed last month by an illegal who was deported 3 times. That officer's life doesn't mean anything, does it? Well, screw him.
Well, BZ, what you're forgetting is all of those men, by virtue of their employment, were doing things to suppress non-whites.
I know. And besides, it's their job to die.
Right. Every time... They're essentially
they knew
hired
they
to
signed
die.
up for that. They knew they signed up to get killed.
Yes.
Right?
That's part of the job. It's ridiculous.
So tough for them.
It's absolutely...
Katie Steinle's father, suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah. Stop being so emotional.
I know.
You're not thinking about the feelings of these poor people.
Put your legs back on the ground. You're in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's horrible. You just have to realize the reality of it. That sometimes,
do you have that cut, by the way?
I don't.
Oh shit!
In order to make
That's
a couple of omelets, you have to break a couple of eggs. Give me a second, I can get it up.
Okay. Now, while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you about that particular little incident.
Did I just say that out loud? Give me a second, I can give it up. Go ahead. I can get it up. It's no big deal.
Did you say give it?
Without Clint here, I have to do both sides, right?
That's true. You have to be point and counterpoint.
Yes.
To all of those things. All right. Let me see if I've got it. I think the guy's name was Bustamante, and I've got it here in my Twitter feed.
I'll get it. I have it right here.
I think I said something similar to, in response to this, please, dear God, let me be the one to have the pistol to point it at this guy's forehead and drop the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, yes, here's my response to this. Louis Bracamonte, an illegal immigrant who'd been deported, 3 or 4 prior times and killed 2 deputies, my deputy, Danny Oliver, who used to work for me, and Deputy Michael Davis. He was in court recently, this week, in Sacramento, and happened to make a statement. And the judge, in the process of him having made that statement, had to clear the courtroom. And while he was smiling, he made some comments. And he said, I don't fucking regret that shit. Only fucking thing that I fucking regret is not killing more of those motherfuckers. I'm going to kill more of those motherfuckers. And by the way, if I get out, I'm going to kill more fucking cops.
Right.
And let's see, what was BZ's response on Twitter? Oh, yeah, it was this. This is the illegal Mexican piece of shit that killed one of my deputies and a Placer County deputy in October of 2014. God bless Danny Oliver, Sacramento Sheriff's Department, and Michael Davis, Placer County Sheriff's Office.
I have the quote right here when you're ready.
Hit it. Let's hear it.
Be silent. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please step out of the hallway.
They're fucking dead. I don't fucking regret that shit. The only thing I fucking regret is if I can steal too. I wish I fucking killed more of those motherfuckers. Fuck it.
Derek, we asked if the camera was turned off. I think the order was only through.
There's more.
I will break out soon, and I will kill more.
I will break out soon, and I will kill more.
And whoever fucking get in front of me. Just like that.
Well, and here's a couple of things you need to know about Bucamonte. First and foremost, they tried to go insanity plea, and the judge said no fucking way. That he was competent. They had the test done. He was competent to stand trial. His defense attorney was trying to say that it was a narcotic-induced paranoia situation that caused him to lash out like he did. Well, he's been in prison this whole time and not under the influence of any narcotics, and he's still talking about how he wants to kill.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing that the Sacramento Bee, oddly enough, tried to make sure didn't get out. When his talk screen came back, and it takes a while for that to come back,
yeah,
he had no drugs on board.
At all. At all. He is just a homicidal fucking maniac.
This is an example, folks, of what's happening to your country, and it's all done. The Demorats don't give one dribbling, kidney-squashing fuck about you at all. You are tools. You are cattle to be used, rounded up for the vote. And a number, unfortunately, of Republicans as well, who would just as soon go along with that because they have theirs and everyone else can go to a flaming fucking hell, including you.
Yes.
All you're good for is shut the fuck up, write your check, pay your taxes, pay your quarterlies if you're a business, and take it up the ass from the federal government and the state government as well.
Right.
Be a good little prole. Be a good little serf.
And just do what you're told.
Pay your taxes, be quiet, vote the D, and all will be well. Here's how all will be well.
Vote the
Look
D.
at my state.
Vote the D. Sorry, go ahead.
Look around. Look around this state. It is a Demorat utopia. And folks, words of wisdom, if you let any of this crap go to your state, look back to my state, because this is what your state will become.
And it will absolutely become such. BZ, we got about 7 minutes left. I know you had another article you wanted to get to.
There was another article, and this was an article under my show. I would have placed this under happy stories and good times.
Okay.
This is from the Washington Times, as a matter of fact. And I'll wager that you didn't hear this story. So you have to ask yourself, I wonder why I didn't hear this story blazing just above the fold.
I don't even call myself self anymore when I talk.
For the next 2 weeks.
When I talk to myself, I literally say Sean now.
Do you?
Yeah,
I
I've
see.
gotten to that point.
See, I've always said if you can't talk to yourself, who can you talk to?
Exactly.
I like to go out on a busy street corner and just yell at traffic. That's fun. I get a whole lot of fun out of that. Anyway, from
especially looking how you do.
I know.
Like if I did it, they're like, "Oh, look, there's just another angry white man,
another guy,
another angry white man."
And then they look at me and they said, "Dude, that fucker is old, ugly, fat, and he is homeless."
They're like, "He is out of his mind." That is the epitome of insanity, right there. Like when you think of crazy people, that would be it.
That's right.
You standing on a street corner yelling at traffic.
Yep.
Get off my lawn.
I think I'm gonna have to find a photograph of myself, go to a meme generator, and put up there, like I yell at traffic for a living.
For a living. Well, yeah, you kind of do now,
yeah,
right?
I do. I yell at traffic for a living. This is my job. This is what I do. Homeland Security pursues charges against leaders of sanctuary cities. Let that sink in for just a second, because you would never, ever, ever, ever see this under Obama, or you would never see this under a Hillary Clinton administration. Let me read it again. Homeland Security pursues charges against leaders of sanctuary cities because they're breaking the law, a federal law. I've said for years, just be truthful. Leftists cannot be truthful in today's environment. If you don't like the laws, you're Congress.
Yes.
Rewrite the laws.
Yes.
Change the laws.
Make things so.
Yes. So just, get in there, put a bill together, and do it the right way. And then if you've got the momentum
power
for it, then okay, there comes the vote. Goes to the House, goes to the Senate, gets marked up in committee, goes onto the president's desk. Woohoo! We did it the right way. And if you pass a bill that says anybody can come in, well, you did it the right way. Up until then, not quite so much, and there should be consequences. Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Nielsen confirmed Tuesday that her department has asked federal prosecutors to see if they can lodge criminal charges against sanctuary cities that refuse to cooperate with federal deportation efforts.
Hell yes.
The Department of Justice is reviewing what avenues may be available, Ms. Nielsen told the Senate Judiciary Committee. Her confirmation came after California's new sanctuary law went into effect January 1st, severely restricting cooperation with state or any of the other local facilities that were offered.
I love this. I absolutely love this. Look,
finally.
And I can't see how they don't have legal ground to stand for, because they're enforcing a federal law.
It's their
Immigration
own laws.
falls under the federal government. The state is supposed to be compelled to cooperate with the federal government on federal issues legally. You can't just outright refuse and call it a day. And once again, much like the Second Amendment, we talk about how that should be a federal issue and not a state and local issue. This is not a local issue. And I would love to see these mayors, these sheriffs who are complying with these rules, being charged with harboring a criminal.
Okay, I found it. Here's the article. I knew this existed, and I just found it. This is from sfgate.com.
Sfgate.
San Francisco, the local Bay Area here in Fornicalia. Feds, this is again grand. I can wrap this up in 1 minute before the break. Feds planning massive Northern California immigration sweep to strike against sanctuary laws. That's funny. Didn't the assistant director say recently that because of sanctuary city laws in California, if California thinks they're getting away with it, they're not. In fact, he's going to double down. Now, from this sfgate.com article, U.S. immigration officials have begun preparing for a major sweep in San Francisco and other Northern California cities in which federal officers would look to arrest more than 1,500 undocumented people while sending a message that immigration policy will be enforced in the sanctuary state, according to a source familiar with the operations. ICE declined to comment Tuesday for plans in the operation.
Well, they were too busy hitting all the 7-Elevens in the Bay Area, arresting everybody out of it.
The campaign centered in the Bay Area could happen within weeks and is expected to become the largest enforcement action of its kind under President Trump. Said the source.
I love this.
Who requested anonymity because the plans have not been made public.
That's what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you happen to see that particular interview with the assistant director of of ICE, who said that he's particularly disturbed by this because what it means is that his officers now are placed into more jeopardy, into a higher critical level of officer safety because now instead of having to just pick these people up in jails, they have to visit and arrest them on turf in which they are familiar.
Right.
Their homes, their businesses. Now, thank you, Sanctuary State of California. Now you're going to find these people arrested at their places of work, if they work,
in
front of their children, in front of their wives, ripped out of their houses.
Yeah.
Because California has said they're a sanctuary state.
And before everyone flips out, I just want to remind everyone that when it comes to force to remove an illegal immigrant, the Clinton administration was all over that with Elian Gonzalez.
Oh, yes.
But and Homeland Security and ICE have already acted. Last week or the week before in the Bay Area, they hit 15 7-Elevens and arrested like 35 people who were illegals that were working there. Guess what? Oh, by the way, if you employ an illegal...
The Southland Corporation said, oh, well, we need to start backgrounding our people a little bit better.
If you are an employee or an employer in America, you're still subject to federal laws that you must check these people in order for them to legally work for you. You can't just... Federal law, wait a minute. Does that somehow affect... Oh, yeah, no, they have to follow that law, too. So why don't they start hitting these businesses for it as well? Folks, we're up against a break.
Here's one thing they definitely need that has to be in this bill. E-Verify. 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 Everybody, E-Verify.
We're up against a break. When we come back, we get a couple more things we're going to wrap up the show with. BZ's got a couple articles, and I have a couple thoughts and musings right here on the Sackhead Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com. And maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Weaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
This is Jersey Joe, host of the Reverb Common Sense, and you're listening to SHRmedia.com.
Thank you, Joseph. Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. I forgot to turn the cameras on. Where are we? There it is. Oh,
Not like you're busy doing other things.
What could I possibly be doing? So Saturday morning got interesting for the folks of Hawaii, where a alert was sent out. The alert essentially said, "Nah, it's not a big deal." It's sent out by the Hawaiian Emergency Management Association.
It won't be raining just water.
Agency.
It'll be raining nuclear missiles.
Yeah. The exact quote, I believe, was ballistic missile incoming. Seek shelter. This is not a drill. Ladies and gentlemen, this has to be one of the biggest fuck-ups. I can't even tell you. And it's funny because 2 weeks ago, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, I threw this up for when we were having technical difficulties. And this was a couple weeks ago. I did not think there would be any sort of like...
now it's applicable.
Now it's applicable. And even the "we fucked up" part on the bottom. Because afterwards, that's what they would have to send out.
True.
Wow, this is scary. And for the folks of Hawaii who had to live through this, look, I am not downplaying how scary that must have been, and I'm really sorry that happened to you folks. It is very undeserved. It is just a complete horrible breakdown and letdown, and I am appalled that this happened. Couple different things, though. Couple different things. Number one, there's a photo streaming around of a picture of one of the guys who works at that button, if you will, that gets sent out, where the login information and password is allegedly behind him on a sticky note. I don't know if it's factual. I don't know.
That's some funny shite. That is funny.
Number two, a couple other things to keep in mind. To all these idiots that were trying to blame Trump for this somehow, he doesn't have that button in his office. He can't make that happen. If anyone knows that Hawaii, since the threat of North Korea has increased, has been running numerous drills at I believe it's the first Wednesday of every month. I forget how they broke it down. And they have sirens, they have tests, and they have been testing it regularly because the threat is imminent and Hawaii is in the scope of a potential attack. Now, you would think that the state of Hawaii would practice this. They've had an issue with this before. Obviously, lessons were learned at Pearl Harbor. It is absolutely insane to me that this happened. It is a complete destruction, but it's also the state government that did it, not the feds. The order, should it be live, the order would come from the Pacific Command. Their early warning system, they would get it and notify Hawaii, and Hawaii would put the alert out. And it came out later that it was supposed to be one of the tests that was that went awry. So, to the people of Hawaii, God damn, I'm sorry. I cannot imagine. And it was early in the morning, and now there's a whole bunch of texts that people were sending once they got the alert to families and loved ones, telling them that they love them and this could be it. And it was real for those people, and it's frightening. But there's also something that needs to be learned here.
Oh, there's an incredible lesson. Oh, my God, is there a lesson?
If you live in this country, and I know you can say it's not the 60s. I know it's not duck and cover drills and all this other stuff. I said this, 3-4 months on the show ago? 3-4 months ago on the show. Why are we not starting to practice this again? We're in another Cold War. People don't want to admit it. Yeah, it's not the same Cold War as Russia. It's more scary because the guy's a lunatic. We are in another Cold War with North Korea. The fact that a lot of people said afterwards on social media and stuff, they didn't know what they do. They didn't have a plan in place. They're going to start working on a plan. It's a wake-up call for the potential threat and how serious it is. Look, if you're not if the federal government was not taking it seriously, they wouldn't have a system in place for it.
It's a failure on many levels. It's a failure of imagination. It's a failure of systems, and it's a failure of processes. Look, there's more backup to if you want to delete some shite off your Apple phone than there was there. If you want to delete all your crap on an Apple phone, the first thing you'll get is, bing, do you want to do this? And you go, yes. And then it'll go, bing, are you sure you want to do this? And you'll hit yes. And then there'll be a third, it'll go, bing, are you really, really sure you want to do this? So it asks you 3 times if you want to do this.
Well, and actually, Jane
It's
Butcher,
a phone.
Jane Butcher's in the chat room right now, and Business Insider has the picture from inside the emergency management agencies, and the password warning point 2 is what it was. I'm sure it's been changed since. Is standing right behind a guy.
Don't make that assumption.
Well, I would hope so.
Jesus. Folks, this is the government that you love. This is your government that you think is going to take care of you. It loves you. It only has your mind in mind.
Government in general.
Here's the other thing, too. This is like muy ironically. Japan had the same thing
2
occur
days later on the news.
Recently.
Literally.
Now, it took 38 minutes to send for the people in Hawaii, the EMA, to figure out, all right, now how the fuck do we get rid of this? Took them 38 minutes to figure out how they can take that back, so to speak. Japan put it out, and 5 seconds later, they said, oh, that's wrong, and then rescinded it.
Japan essentially put this up.
Yeah.
But I always tell everybody when I discuss North Korea with them, and they're like, they just start to go down the road of like, oh, they may not have the technology. He's, this guy and this, and I don't know why. It's probably not that serious. All of these in place for a reason. People reacting in those areas the way they do is for a reason. This threat is a real threat. The nuclear threat exists from North Korea. And you need to be prepared for it. And when you start talking about the government and what we should be doing in military action, non-military action, all this other thing. Look, we were in the Cold War from the 1940s until the fall of the Soviet Union. 56 years?
Yeah.
Easy? I mean, most of your life. Literally, most of your life.
Yeah. We did duck and cover drills in elementary school.
Absolutely.
And we were told to here's the other thing. If you really are going to have an emergency response and you live in a big city, if you're in a big city, number one, you're fucked, okay?
Yeah.
Because there are already designated targets. If you're in a fairly large American city, you're a target.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can do about it? The only immediate things you can do is try to get away from glass and don't look outside, and try to get under something. And that's it. That's all you can do. You're not going to have time, really, to seek a deep cistern to get away from it. There's no getting away from
and
it.
There's no practice right now. Look, and there were people that had bomb shelters that got into it. There's videos that Jane just posted in the chat room right now of people being placed in storm drains, children to try to protect them from the blast.
I remember seeing that on the news last night.
Yeah, and because they don't know what to do because they're not prepared.
Watch out for the crocodiles, by the way.
We are in Hawaii even.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Lots of them.
They're 15 feet long in the storm drains.
Alligators in the sewer.
That's right.
But we've done no preparation for this threat as a nation. We have been so worried about racial differences and all these other things and what Trump said and didn't say and what he had for breakfast.
They mean nothing.
They have yet to start legitimately testing again for nuclear. Now, there's a whole bunch of theories out there right now too. Is that hey, maybe they did pop one off and we shot it down, and that possibility is there. I don't know. I haven't seen any proof of that. I can see why people would jump to that right away. But I think when you have a president who is very, very bold and brash when it comes to dealing with military issues,
and just allowed budgetarily the creation of more nuclear weapons.
Right. I think that should that have happened, you would have seen a strong response to North Korea. Maybe I'm wrong. So I don't think that. I think this was a fuck up of gigantic proportion. Huge.
But it was a failure of imagination. It was a failure of the system and the failure of processes. Now everyone is putting it on this guy. This guy is just a government drone. Okay? He is not responsible for this. So in terms of, he's got to be fired. Quite frankly, I'm not this guy's union rep, so I couldn't care less whether he gets fired or not. But placing all the blame on this guy is wrong, unless he designed the entire system itself, which I doubt he did. He's the guy he probably what happened is there's a computer screen. And it's probably a touchpad, and he went, ooh.
Well, it was between two buttons that were much smaller. One of them says tsunami warning, the other one says nuclear test, and then there was this one's legit, and he just hit the wrong button and shit happens. But my point of this is right now, we're just not prepared in this country. You watch the videos from that event. We are not prepared.
It can't
because
happen here.
People are so worried about reality TV and what's on Facebook.
Mislabeling and misgendering poor people in
all of this
retirement communities, making it a felony. Oh, that's so bad. Mislabeling.
Do you remember, Independence Day?
Yes.
And it was the thing of like we were so busy fighting each other, we didn't see the threat that was coming. And I think that was from Independence Day, but that's exactly what it is. We're so busy fighting each other, we're ignoring the major threats that are out there, the bigger threats that are out there, and we're not prepared for it. And that's the scariest part about this.
Well, what's happened in the past 8 years? Our military
depleted
has dwindled down to almost nothing. We are at 1939 military levels.
Yes, absolutely. Pre-war. All right, BZ, I know you got another article sitting there that will get us through the last 14 minutes.
Here's another interesting article that I dredged up, and this is mostly from Hawaiian sources.
Emotional felony.
It says, FEMA okayed alert? Questions mount on missile alert snafu. EMA history of mismanagement. The Hawaii Free Press reported a routine internal test during a shift change was initiated. This was a test that involved the emergency alert systems, the wireless emergency alert, but no warning sirens. Here's an interesting part of the press release, 8:45 a.m. After getting authorization from FEMA, Integral Public Alert and Warning System, Hawaii EMA issued a civil emergency message remotely. Why is this time-consuming authorization needed? Note, the UH system was able to correct its cell phone false alarm 10 minutes after sending it. The following action was executed by the emergency alert system. So the question remains is this. People are asking, was this an attempted purposeful alert by FEMA to gauge a reaction? Now, if it somehow got out that FEMA insisted or suggested, air quotes, to Hawaii EMA that they conduct this to see how people are going to react, I wonder how many folks had heart attacks as the result of this going out.
Well, and here's the reason I have an issue with that. So this specific alert would be activated by the Pacific PACOM, Pacific Command. That would then be forwarded to the state of Hawaii and then activated. Now, I personally think that the Pacific Command should be allowed to send out that alert specifically. I don't think it should be disseminated through the states. I think that's too many steps in a situation that has least amount of time. I don't know how FEMA would work into that specific alert, because if this was a test, then why would FEMA have access to a nuclear inbound and not like a tsunami warning? If this was a test coming from FEMA remotely through Hawaii, why would they have that ability to activate that? Because in the time that it God forbid it did happen, it would come from PACOM to Hawaii and then activate. So I have an issue with that theory on this, and that's just me. And I don't know. Look,
I just find it interesting. I throw stuff into the mix and we'll see what hits.
Absolutely. Because anything, look, we got such little information other than we fucked up. There's more to it. Something's more to it. Even if it's we fucked up on a huge level, or this guy, or it's Joe, right? Everyone hates Joe now. Fuck Joe. Joe hit the wrong button. Well, poor Joe is probably going to catch a beating somewhere, and he might catch a few in the face. But the reality is, out of all of this, yes, we need to know how it happened. We need to make sure it never happens again. All of that is absolutely something that needs to be done. For me, the biggest thing that came out of it was the lack of preparedness and how woefully unprepared we are as a nation to deal with some sort of major incident like that. I know we had some good news, and I want you to bring it up. There was an indictment.
Yes, and luckily, because I suspected you were going there, while you were talking, I was zipping around on the laptop.
Zip.
And found the story. Whew, sweat off of that one. This is from Breitbart. And again, this is something I'll wager you haven't heard because it's purposeful. The American media maggots are attempting to bury this as much as they possibly can, like a cat in your local sandbox, your local cat box. That's what the American maggots are. If they see turds that come from Demorat asses, it's their job to make sure that they cover it with the appropriate amount of sand. Sorry for the visual. Anyway, from Breitbart, this is grand. Associate in Hillary Clinton Uranium One Russian bribery case indicted.
Yay!
Finally, an 11-count indictment has been handed down from a grand jury investigating possible Russian bribery involving former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's Uranium One deal, negotiated when she was part of the Obama administration, a report says. The indictment was levied against Maryland resident Mark Lambert, a former co-president of a nuclear transportation company involved in Hillary Clinton's deal to sell U.S. uranium interests to a Russian company.
What was this guy's name?
Mark Lambert, Lambert.
Is that why Hillary Clinton tweeted that we're very sorry to hear of the upcoming suicide of Mark Lambert? It's truly going to be a tragedy for us and his family, and he was such a close...
Okay, when I get through tonight, I'm going to have to go find a photo of that guy, go to my local meme generator, and create that meme, and then send it out on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks for that idea.
This guy is...
so
this guy's telling everybody right now, look, I am not suicidal.
Let me mark this right now so I remember. 7 minutes before the end of the show, I'm going to go back to the replay in YouTube, and remember what I just told myself so that I can go ahead and do that. Thanks, BZ. I appreciate that.
First of all, this guy's already jumping on the sword for everybody else involved in this, and I know that's going to be it. There will be nothing else that will come out of this.
It might not be a sword. It might be arsenic.
But, yeah, this guy's also going to accidentally...
it could be a bad car crash.
Well, let's just say he's going to commit suicide with a couple rounds to the back of the head. Mark my words. Yeah. This guy is telling everybody he knows, look, I'm not suicidal, even with this indictment. Yeah, this sucks, but I'm going to get through it. And look, I would rather be in total federal custody right now. Can I turn myself in? Like, where can I go for the next 5 years? Yeah.
The indictment was leveled against Maryland resident Mark Lambert, a former co-president of a nuclear transportation company. A Department of Justice statement says the 54-year-old Lambert, who may not make it to 55, was charged with 1 count of conspiracy to violate the Foreign Corruption Practices Act, FCPA, and to commit wire fraud, 7 counts of violating the FCPA, 2 counts of wire fraud, and 1 count of international promotion money laundering. The statement added the charges stem from an alleged scheme to bribe Vadim Mikirin, a Russian official at JSC Technoport 10X, a subsidiary of Russia's State Atomic Energy Corporation and the sole supplier and exporter of Russian Federation uranium and uranium enrichment services to nuclear power companies worldwide in order to secure contracts with 10X. Stop. Who's the greatest producer of uranium on the planet?
We are.
Kyrgyzstan.
Oh.
Who controls that uranium?
Russia.
Who wants to corral all of uranium production?
Russia.
So that they can control and dole out when necessary who gets the uranium, who gets to create atomic weapons, who gets to build reactors, who is the decider in chief?
Russia. Russia.
That's the point out of all of this.
Yes. That's the scariest point all the way around is, yeah.
The charges come on the heels of an 8-year investigation into the sale of Uranium-1 to the Russian company. The sale was completed in 2013.
That's weird. I was under Trump's... Oh, wait. No, it wasn't. No, shit. How are they going to spin this one on Trump? Oh, no, that's why they buried it. It's absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And look, like you said, the biggest thing that's being missed in all this is that the Russians are making a power play for all the uranium because you said you have all the uranium, you have all the nukes. No uranium, no nukes. And then you get into another Cold War, and you have one side with nukes and the other side with old nukes or maybe no nukes. Well, it's not really a Cold War.
Wait, isn't it said that no nukes is good nukes?
No nukes is good nukes, said by Gary Ganukes.
Yep, that's true.
And that was on the Great Space Coaster.
I would agree.
That was an early 80s TV show for children that I can remember. And it was No GNUs is Good GNUs with Gary Gnu. I had no idea what the fuck a GNU was.
We got about 4 minutes left.
Yes.
I'd like to do this final story if I could, because
Yes.
this just came out from the ACLJ, the American Center for Law and Justice. And they're a private enterprise. You send them cash, and they go out and sue people.
Yay!
And they sue people generally through FOIA requests in order to get the information that the federal government doesn't want you to know anyway. So the entire past year has been predicated upon Russia interfering in our election and Trump being the pawn and pansy boy to Vladimir Putin. Has it not? Has that not been
my God,
everything that the Demorats have based all of their philosophy, all of their
all of it.
And all of their eggs went right into that basket. Every last damn one of them, because everyone knows Russia influenced Trump, and Russia hacked the damn elections. So there's collusion between Russia and Trump.
Right, always.
Because America would never do that. Right? We would never influence an election.
No.
It's only Russia trying to influence this election.
Well, that would...
Right?
Yeah, we've never done anything.
No. Except that the ACLJ just recently, through a FOIA request,
Obama administration
found out
Israel.
that the Obama administration, they cut money to One Voice Palestine, collectively known as One Voice. The grants continued through November 2014 from 2013, totaling $350,000, 4 times the size of the average overseas grant the State Department awarded that year under Barack Obama. This is the U.S. State Department making a grant to One Voice Palestine. One Voice used this money to expand its social media network and voter database and hired an American firm to train activists in grassroots campaigning. When new elections were announced in December 2014, One Voice joined the anti-Netanyahu campaign known as Victory 15 or V15, using the infrastructure it had created with State Department money, meaning your money, my money,
yes,
everyone's money, every American taxpayer
it was left
right
over,
now.
It was left over from the money we gave Iran.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. From your taxpayer money via the U.S. State Department, One Voice Palestine launched a multi-million-dollar grassroots campaign with one objective: replace the government of Israel, meaning replace Netanyahu.
Yes.
If that is not the definition of
Collusion.
Obama influencing an election, I do not know what is.
Via a terrorist state.
Yes.
It would be no different than he gave it to Hamas. It is insane.
One quick final story. This is from the Times of Israel. The United States withholds $65 million from the UN Agency for Palestinians, making reduced payments of $60 million. State Department officials say Washington is undertaking a fundamental reexamination of UNRWA's operations and funding. It's starting only under Trump, certainly not under Obama.
It's weird how, and it's also the Clintons and the Obama administration that colluded with the Russians.
Yeah.
It's just
funny how that works out.
Yeah, no, it's kind of weird.
I guess we're gonna have to say goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, did Clint ever get here? I never saw him. Did you ever see him? I never heard.
Hey,
his...
Clint. Oh, right.
No,
I guess we'll see him next week.
Yeah, I'll look here. Let me look over the TV screen here and see if I can see him.
Can you see him?
Clint?
I don't see him.
Clint, is that
Do you see him?
I don't see him.
I don't see him either.
I thought he was going to guest, but I guess not.
I guess not either.
Tonight. Okay.
Folks, that's it for the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. You have the bloviating
No,
Zeppelin.
you don't.
Oh, no, that's right. You're off tomorrow night.
Yep. But I should be back Tuesday.
And hopefully Jersey Joe will be back. He was feeling under the weather. I know the Unpleasant Blind Guy has a huge show dropping this weekend. You got to make sure you check it out. Also, make sure you check out all of our great shows here on the SHR Media Network. Of course, our media partner over at Lone Star and our news partner, and check them out as well. We will see you We will see you next Wednesday right here at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast on the Sackheads Radio Show. Stick around, and we'll see you then.
Take care.
Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads
Radio.
Sackheads
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.